Imagine calling the police, right, to confess that you are currently holding crystal meth.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and explicitly asking them to come take it away because you just don't trust yourself not to use it.
Right, right.
Or picture buying a cardboard box at a store that is literally labeled mystery. You take it home, and then you threaten to involve the authorities because you're angry that the contents were, well, in fact, a mystery.
I mean, you can't make it up.
You really can't. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the early May 2026 weekly police and sheriff reports for Antigo and Langlade County, Wisconsin. We're going to uncover what, routine 911 calls actually reveal
Yeah.
about modern human psychology.
It's just incredible how much a simple dispatch log can tell us. Like, we tend to think of police blotters as just a list of speeding tickets and noise
Yeah,
complaints.
exactly.
But when you look closer, they are this unfiltered mirror, just reflecting the weird, raw reality of a community.
Yeah, no, totally. We are looking at the human experience laid completely bare here. And that is exactly the mission of this deep dive.
Absolutely.
We are basically sliding a fresh cup of coffee across the counter to you. We're going to sift through the nightly covenantage drive-through bank deposit checks and, the routine traffic stops just to pull out the truly wild, unvarnished moments that make northern Wisconsin so uniquely fascinating.
And just to set the ground rules right up front, as you pull up your chair to our virtual table here,
Good idea.
while the local tea we are pouring today is piping hot, it is completely
Oh,
anonymous.
for sure.
We are not using any names, and we aren't giving out any exact house numbers. We're really just looking at the underlying mechanisms behind the chaos on the streets of Langlade County.
Absolutely. Because, well, the roadmap today is packed with paradoxes. We're
Yeah.
talking high-stakes retail cognitive dissonance.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Interstate cyber surveillance playing out in a local driveway, an incredibly unusual and honest drug bust, and of course, the relentless, chaotic animal kingdom of the Northwoods.
Naturally.
So let's just jump right into it. We are starting over on Industrial Park Road. An officer gets dispatched because a citizen went to a brand new pallet liquidation store.
Oh, I know the type.
You know the model, right?
Yeah.
They buy these massive random overstock pallets from major retailers, toss the stuff in boxes, and sell it cheap.
Yeah, it's super popular right now.
Well, this caller bought a literal mystery box, got it home, opened it up, and was absolutely furious.
Furious about a mystery box.
Furious to discover that it contained expired food and drinks.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. The responding officer essentially had to look this person in the eye
Yeah.
and explain that buying a box explicitly labeled Vistery means you are legally assuming the risk of what's inside.
Which, I mean, from a purely legal and logical standpoint, is perfectly sound advice.
Right.
A mystery box is, by its very definition, an unknown variable. The whole transaction is fundamentally based on risk.
Okay, let's unpack this because I am just genuinely baffled by the caller's mindset here. Calling the police over this makes zero logical sense to me.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of an overreaction.
It really is. Like, help me understand the psychology of dialing 911 because you didn't like your random snacks.
Well, what's fascinating here is how our brains process commerce based on, like, geography rather than supply chains.
Geography.
Yeah, so in a close-knit community like Langlade County, business has traditionally been done on a handshake.
Right. Yeah.
There is this deeply ingrained, implicit expectation of a fair deal. When you buy something from a local storefront, your brain maps that transaction as a neighborly exchange.
Wait, I have to push back on that. I am not buying it.
Okay, why not?
Because buying a shrink-wrapped liquidation pallet is like the exact opposite of a handshake deal with a neighbor.
Well, sure, technically.
Anonymous, imported, overstocked junk. Why would local social contracts apply to a completely faceless retail gimmick?
Because the physical location overrides the rational knowledge of the supply chain.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the human brain is terrible at dealing with cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
The buyer walked into a physical building on a local road in Antigo and, likely handed their money to a local cashier who might literally be their neighbor.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So in their mind, the localized social contract of, like, we don't scam each other here, activated.
Ah,
So even when the stated written rules of the transaction explicitly dictate otherwise, meaning the box is sealed and says mystery, their cultural programming overrides the logic of modern liquidation retail.
wow.
They feel wronged not because the box violated consumer law, but because they genuinely believe a local business shouldn't sell expired goods to a local, regardless of the retail gimmick.
Wow, okay, so it's spatial retail mapping. It's
Exactly.
not about the snacks at all. It's the brain violently rejecting the reality of globalized anonymous commerce just because it happened in their own backyard.
Precisely. They called the police to enforce a social contract, not a legal one.
That is wild.
It really is.
But, speaking of weird things found locally, we have to transition from strange consumer behavior to what people are just, like, leaving out on the highways.
Oh boy, the roadside fines.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Over on US 45,
Yeah.
the DOT had to flag down a deputy because they were removing illegal Mosquito Police signs from the right-of-way.
Mosquito Police.
I don't even want to know what vigilante bug control entails, honestly.
Best not to ask.
But even stranger, a caller found something truly bizarre while doing ditch cleanup between County Road U and Luther Lane.
Okay, what was it?
They found 4 gallon-sized Ziploc bags completely full of what looked like coffee grounds.
That's oddly specific.
Right. And one of these bags was mysteriously labeled with a Sharpie. It just had a letter B and a hand-drawn smiley face on it.
See, and this raises an important question for you, the listener.
Yeah.
What would you think if you were walking down a rural county road and just stumble across massive smiley face bags of coffee grounds in a ditch?
I mean, I'd be freaked out.
Right. Like, is it just harmless trash that tumbled out of a pickup truck? Or is it something more sinister? From a law enforcement perspective, coffee grounds are famously used to mask the scent of narcotics.
See, you say that, and my brain instantly goes to true crime.
Oh, of course.
But why do we do that? Like, why do we immediately project malice onto weird roadside trash?
It's basically an evolutionary mechanism. We are, pattern-seeking machines. When we see something completely out of context, like a massive amount of coffee specifically marked with a smiley face in a rural ditch, our brains interpret that anomaly as a potential threat.
Right, it doesn't belong.
Exactly. And the smiley face actually makes it worse because it implies intentionality. Someone didn't just drop this. Someone curated it.
It's the intentionality that makes it creepy.
Yep.
Well, let's move away from the highway mysteries and step right into the driveways and parking lots.
Yeah.
Because that's where the real, visceral human drama unfolds.
Oh, absolutely. The residential calls.
Yeah, we just talked about projecting threats, but sometimes the threats are very real. Let's look at a classic local friction point, a parking complaint on 5th Avenue.
Fifth Avenue. Let me guess. Blocked driveways.
Close. Cars are clogging both sides of a narrow street for a neighborhood rummage sale.
Oh, the rummage sale parking wars. It sounds mundane, but, it's a massive source of community tension.
Unforgiving tension, and the tempers don't stop there. Over near the Sugar Shack parking lot, an actual physical fight broke out between 2 people just walking back to their cars.
You're kidding.
No. We've got a white vehicle, a van, and literally fists flying over what was likely just a minor slight.
People are just so on edge.
They really are. But the absolute heaviest drama of the week happened on Elm Road.
Okay, what happened there?
This one is like a thriller movie script. A caller found a live GPS tracker hidden inside a baby's car seat.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It turns out a grandmother in Michigan planted the device. She had picked up her daughter due to alleged drug use, and the daughter being 6 months behind on rent. So the grandma is now tracking their movements across state lines and threatening a massive lawsuit if she doesn't get her property back.
That is an incredibly heavy, emotionally charged situation.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Think about the wild jurisdictional headache this creates.
Oh, for sure.
The physical tracker was placed inside a car in Michigan, which is their jurisdiction, right?
Right.
But the quote-unquote crime of tracking someone without consent is being reported in Wisconsin, where the family currently is. So how does a local Langlade County deputy on Elm Road actually handle a Michigan cybercrime?
Well, that is the exact nightmare of modern jurisdictional friction. The mechanism of the law is fundamentally tied to physical geography,
Yeah.
But technology doesn't care about state lines. A local deputy has zero legal authority to execute a warrant in Michigan.
None at all.
Right. The data from that tracker is beaming through satellites to a server and then to a phone in another state. Who writes the warrant?
Good question.
Which state's anti-stalking statutes apply? The Wisconsin deputy can, take the report and confiscate the physical device, but their hands are essentially tied legally.
So they are just legally paralyzed.
Pretty much.
You have a panicked mother with a baby, a furious grandmother calling from Michigan, and a blinking GPS tracker sitting on the hood of a police cruiser.
Exactly. And this really highlights how the role of local law enforcement has fundamentally shifted.
How so?
Well, we often think of police as just catching bad guys who break a specific local statute, right?
Sure.
But if we look at the rummage sale parking dispute, the sugar shack scuffle, and this interstate GPS tracker, law enforcement officers in rural areas are primarily functioning as armed social workers and civil mediators.
Oh, I see.
They are stepping into the middle of these intense familial and civil disputes where no clear, actionable local criminal charges can be filed right away. The officers have to de-escalate raw human emotion when they literally have no clear legal authority to solve the underlying problem.
That is an immense burden. I mean, you're trying to mentally untangle interstate cyber surveillance law while someone is literally screaming on the phone.
Exactly. It's a lot.
And as if mediating that level of human drama wasn't enough, an hour later, that same officer might need to be an expert wrangler.
Oh, right. The livestock.
Because the sheer versatility required out here is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the porous borders between residential and agricultural life in Langlade County.
Ah, yes, the local animal kingdom. They are regular, repeat offenders in this block.
Oh, they are an absolute menace. Let's start on County Road D.
Okay.
The goats are loose.
Well,
Again.
of course they are.
And when I say again, I mean official complaints were previously filed on April 22nd, April 24th, April 26th, and May 1st.
Wow, those goats are on a schedule.
They really are. The deputy talks to the owner, and the owner's defense is simply, hey, the new pen is almost finished.
Oh, sure it is.
Meanwhile, the goats are just touring the county. And it's not just goats. We've got pigs repeatedly trespassing into a neighbor's yard on North Rollwood Road.
It really paints a vivid picture of the friction between different types of land use.
Yeah, it does.
In a major city, zoning laws strictly separate residential areas from commercial or agricultural ones. Out here, those zones overlap completely.
Right, you're living right next to the pigs. But my absolute favorite pet-related call has to be the frantic, heart-stopping report of a missing little white teddy bear dog.
Oh no, what happened?
The caller is absolutely panicking. They specifically note the dog has no collar, and they give explicit permission to dispatch to hand out their phone number to anyone who finds this precious creature.
That sounds like a total crisis.
Oh, it is. And then, a little while later, the call is updated.
Did someone find it?
Well, the dog wasn't missing in the treacherous wilderness. It was inside the house the entire time. Probably just asleep under the sofa.
Oh my goodness. The adrenaline dump that caller experienced must have been exhausting.
Seriously. But then we have the endless, inevitable battle between vehicles and wildlife in northern Wisconsin.
Ah, the deer.
Yeah, there was this bizarre saga on Crystal Lake Road. A night shift deputy gets a call about a struck deer lying in the lane of travel.
Pretty standard call.
Right. They go out, drive the area in the pitch black, and they can't find it. The deer is just gone.
Okay.
Fast forward to the next morning, the day shift gets a new call. The deer is alive, and it has casually relocated itself to sit in someone's front yard.
Just sitting there.
Just sitting right next to a green electrical utility box.
Right.
Just calmly watching the morning traffic go by.
Wow.
I have to ask you, with the sheer number of loose goats, trespassing pigs, hidden teddy bear dogs, and resilient deer hanging out by utility boxes, are law enforcement officers basically required to be part-time zookeepers out here?
I mean, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it proves how rural policing requires immense cognitive adaptability.
Adaptability, yeah.
An officer in a major metropolitan area might spend their entire career dealing purely with traffic enforcement or property crime. But a Langlade County deputy has to mentally pivot from the intense psychological de-escalation of a volatile domestic dispute, like involving a hidden Michigan GPS tracker 1 minute, to understanding the mechanics of livestock fencing the next.
That's a huge shift.
You have to be a legal scholar, a psychologist, and a farmhand, all in the span of an 8-hour shift.
A farmhand with a badge.
Exactly.
That perfectly sets up the final story we have to share today. Because we are smoothly transitioning from the absolute, slightly embarrassing innocence of a hiding teddy bear dog
Right.
to what has to be the most shockingly honest police interaction of the entire week.
This specific incident truly stands out in the report, and, well, it requires a lot of nuance to fully understand.
It does. It really does. Let's head over to Old 26. Dispatch gets a call from a citizen reporting that they have found a stash of meth.
Okay.
Now, usually that's the end of the story, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I found drugs, come get them.
Right.
But the twist here, the caller freely admits on the recorded 911 line that he is a meth addict himself. He completely confesses. He tells the dispatcher that he flushed most of the drugs down the toilet because he knew he needed to avoid the temptation.
Okay.
But he specifically kept a few baggies with the crystals still in them to hand over directly to the responding deputy as proof.
That's fascinating.
And he even offered to give the deputy a walking tour to show them exactly where he found the stash in the first place.
It's a remarkably complex interaction. I mean, on the surface, it sounds completely counterintuitive to confess to a crime while reporting one.
So what does this all mean? Because initially, my brain compared this to finding a briefcase full of cash on the sidewalk, spending half of it at the mall, and then proudly marching into the police station to turn in the rest, expecting a reward for your honesty.
Right, right.
But that's not what's happening here, is it?
Not at all. This isn't like turning in a briefcase for a reward. If we want a better analogy, it's more like the myth of Ulysses.
Oh, the guy who tied himself to the mast of his ship?
Exactly. So he wouldn't steer into the rocks when he heard the sirens sing. This caller is using the local police department as the rope to bind his own hands because he knows his willpower is about to fail.
Oh, wow. That is a brilliant way to frame it. He recognized the trigger.
Exactly. When you strip away the strange logistics of keeping a sample of the drugs for the deputy, what you are looking at is a profound, desperate moment of self-preservation.
Yeah.
The neurobiology of the action is incredibly powerful. This caller, in the grip of a serious chemical dependency, recognized a temptation that could literally ruin his life.
He knew he couldn't fight it alone.
He knew he was struggling, yeah, but he still chose to involve the authorities to protect himself from the very stash he found.
He used the police as a literal lifeline to stop himself from using.
Yes. And we really need to talk about the immense trust required to do that.
Oh, for sure.
In a lot of jurisdictions, an addict wouldn't dare call the police to say, I have meth in my house, please come take it so I don't use it, for fear of immediate arrest, maximum charges, and total ruination.
Yeah, that's a huge risk.
The fact that this individual felt safe enough to call Langlade County Dispatch, confess his addiction, and hand over the remaining drugs speaks volumes about the relationship between the community and the deputies.
It really does.
It shows that despite his demons, he views local law enforcement not just as a punitive force waiting to lock him up, but as a genuine resource for help and safety.
That is a completely different lens to view it through. It's not just a funny blotter entry about a guy keeping meth for the cops. It's a human being fighting for his life and trusting his local deputy to help him win that battle today.
Absolutely.
We have really run the absolute gamut of the human experience on this deep dive.
We really have, from the incredibly mundane consumer complaints to profoundly existential moments of survival.
Let's do a quick recap of the wild ride Langlade County provided this week.
Let's do it.
We started with the spatial retail mapping and the absolute outrage of the expired pallet mystery box. We navigated the jurisdictional paralysis of the Michigan grandma's GPS tracker. We survived the Sugar Shack parking lot scuffle. We wrangled repeat offender goats and resilient deer. And we ended with the startling, heartbreaking honesty of a local resident using dispatch as a lifeline to fight his own addiction.
Quite the week.
Which brings us to our official neighborly moral of the week.
Drum roll, please.
And I think this week, the moral is twofold. Number one, before you call the cops on a missing dog, thoroughly check under the catch.
Excellent advice.
And number two, if you buy a liquidation box, literally labeled mystery, assume the mystery is just expired snacks.
Those are practical words to live by in any county, honestly.
Here they are.
But to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as you finish your coffee.
Yeah.
We laugh at the gossip and we marvel at the bizarre situations people get themselves into, but think about the sociological shift happening right in front of us.
What do you mean?
Well, in rural America, the 911 dispatch has quietly evolved into the ultimate 24/7 catch-all hotline for a society that has lost many of its other civic support structures.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Think about how much of this blotter is just people desperately needing mediation or a safety net. Whether it's a neighbor needing an armed referee for rummage sale parking, a buyer needing a mediator because they feel betrayed by a retail box, or a struggling addict needing an emergency intervention to save themselves.
That is so true.
The next time you see a police cruiser rolling past Castle Park or pulling out of the Key Crypt, ask yourself, What invisible community crisis, big or small, are they off to untangle right now?
Man, that hits hard. It really elevates the whole perspective.
It does.
Just listening to the chatter, realizing every single person pulling out of their driveway has a whole complex world of drama and hope and weirdness going on right behind their front door. And the weekly blotter is just the briefest little window into it.
Very true.
Keep your eyes open, keep your coffee hot, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.